This video will go over conversions, including two-dimensional and three-dimensional conversions. Those are conversions involving area or conversions involving volume. But let's start back at the beginning, just a basic conversion. Question 1, 8,000 grams to kilograms. In order to make this conversion, let's first say what we're solving, which is the number of kilograms, which is going to equal 8,000 grams times the conversion. You're going to need a conversion sheet of some sort. Here's the trick though. We want to end up with kilograms and we're trying to get rid of grams. That is, that's the unit we want to cancel out, which means we want kilograms on top and grams on the bottom. That way when we multiply, the grams will cancel out and we'll be left with kilograms. The only thing left to do is look on a formula sheet and find out that 1 kilogram is the same as 1,000 grams. And so now we multiply 8,000 times 1, you don't even need a calculator for this maybe. 8,000 times 1 is just 8,000, divide by 1,000, and sure enough, as I'm sure you can do in your head, you get 8. In other words, 8,000 grams is equivalent to 8 kilograms. Question 2, 598 millimeters to centimeters. Once again, say what you're solving for, the number of centimeters, which equals 598 millimeters times, set up your fraction, we're going 2 centimeters, we're canceling out millimeters. Once again, look at your conversion sheet and identify that 1 centimeter contains 10 millimeters. You could even look at a ruler to know that. And so now you can multiply. You can try doing that in your head if you want. Should be pretty straightforward. Otherwise, 598 times 1 is just 598 divided by 10, and you get 59.8. In other words, just finish writing this. 598 millimeters is equivalent to 59.8 centimeters. Things change a bit when we're working with area. Convert 598 millimeters squared to centimeters squared. Our number of centimeters squared, we're going to start the same way, equals 598 millimeters squared times our conversion, same conversion as last time, right? We want it to go to centimeters over millimeters, but this time the units are squared. So what we're going to do is make our conversion squared. That is to say, we're going to convert 1 centimeter on the top, and on the bottom we put 10 millimeters, but we need to do that conversion twice, or we need to do the conversion squared. That is, we're going to take 598 millimeters squared and multiply by 1 centimeter squared. I just squared 1. What's 1 times 1? Just 1. And on the bottom, millimeters now become squared. And on the bottom, 10 squared, hopefully you can do that in your head, is just 100. And so what you get here, you can use your calculator again, or just move the decimal. But if you can't do that little trick, the zeros will just move the decimal twice. I'm going to be dividing by 100, 598 times 1, divided by 100. Just move the decimal over 2, and sure enough, I get 5.98 centimeters squared. So note the difference. Here we were talking about millimeters to centimeters, just the length. But here we were talking about millimeters squared, an area, to centimeters squared. So the conversion changed into a square. Let's go back to just straight length conversions, or just straight numbers. In this case it is a length, inches to centimeters. So we're going to find the number of centimeters by taking the number of inches, 64, and multiplying by what we want on top, which in this case we're going to centimeters, and then divide by what we want to get rid of, in this case the inches. So if you look on your formula sheet, 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. So in this case I'm actually going to take 64 and times it by 2.54 and divide by 1, which doesn't really do anything, divide by 1. I just need to go 64 times 2.54 and I get 162.56, or 162.56 centimeters. And I converted, in this case, an imperial quantity, inches, 64 of them, to centimeters. 64 inches is 162.56 centimeters. I'm going to do another conversion from imperial, in this case yards, to metric, in this case meters. But again, notice that they're an area, that the units are squared. So when I go to solve for the number of meters squared, I'm going to take my 71 yards squared and multiply by the conversion of meters on top, because that's what I want to end up with, yards on the bottom, because that's what I'll be canceling out. Take a look at my formula sheet. I want to find the conversion between yards and meters. So it turns out that 1 yard is 0.9144 meters. But once again, yards and yards squared won't cancel out unless I square the conversion. So what I get, and I'm going to do it all at once this time. What do I mean by all at once? I'm going to multiply this calculation as you see here. I know that when I square 1 squared won't do anything. That is, it just becomes 1. Dividing by 1 doesn't do anything. So all I need to do is multiply 71 times 0.9144, but it's 0.9144 squared. When I do that, I get my answer. I could divide it by 1, but dividing by 1 just leaves the same answer. And so I get 59 let's round to, say, 3 decimals. Why not? Need a little rounding dot. So 71 yards squared becomes 59.365 meters squared. Last conversion, 141 inches squared to feet squared. In fact, that's another area one. Let's make it a volume. Let's say instead the question asked you to convert 141 inches cubed to feet cubed. That's imperial to imperial. But more importantly, I'm interested to see what we do when we're converting a cubed unit. In that case, we're converting volume. We want to end up with feet cubed, or cubic feet. And we're going from cubic inches. So we start with our 141 cubic inches, or inches cubed, and we multiply by the conversion for feet on top, because we want to end up with feet, inches on the bottom, because we want to cancel out those inches. And if you know your imperial system, 1 foot has 12 inches. Or you can look on your formula sheet, 12 inches in a foot. But inches won't cancel out with inches cubed. We need to cube that conversion. So you get 141 inches cubed, 141, times, and you don't really need to times by 1 cubed, but we'll just see what happens, because I've been saying 1 doesn't do much. Let's see, times 1 cubed, what do you get? 141. Of course, 141 times 1 times 1 times 1 is of course 141. And now let's divide that by 12, and again, not just by 12, but by 12 cubed. And we get 0.082 approximately. I'm just rounding there to 3 decimals. I rounded this one up because after it was a 5. So rounding to approximately 3 decimals, 141 inches cubed gives approximately 0.082 feet cubed. And so there are a number of different examples showing you how to convert from one unit to another, including from metric to metric, from imperial to metric, from imperial to imperial, and doing some questions where there was area, for example, question 3, question 5, those were 2-dimensional, or where there was 3 dimensions, volume, for example, in question 6. Now, hopefully, you know how to convert.